We're now going to find out a bit more about what they are doing, some of those flagship projects inside Ukraine. I hand over now to Stefan Kiegebein, Director Eastern and Southeastern Europe, Southern Caucasus, Head of Task Force Ukraine from the German Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Stefan.
One, two? It's better? Okay. So thank you very much for the nice introduction. Welcome to the audience and welcome, of course, to the speakers. So we are the second batch of the Lighthouse projects, but not the least ones. So we take it as an honor to close a bit this round. What we do today is that we get in 3 or 4 minutes information on your projects in Ukraine, on maybe success factors, on what you're doing, and why you're doing it. That's important as well. So, and without further ado, I would like to start with Nick from the company Agricur from the Netherlands. So the name sounds like agriculture. So Nick, so please present the project and allow me to interrupt you latest after 4 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Mykola Gurdichuk. I'm Ukrainian, doing business in Ukraine, and today I'm going to tell you about potatoes. How many of you knew that Ukraine has been number 5 potato producer in the world, after United States, China, India, and Russia? Before the war, that was before the war. Definitely, the war and Russian aggression had its impact on Ukraine, and before the war, Ukraine produced over 20 million tons of potatoes, while being, as I said, number 5 in the world for potato production. With the war, areas of potatoes have been down, the distribution channels have been disrupted, input supplies for farmers have increased, and we had almost 50% down in seed production in Ukraine. And in Ukraine, they call potatoes the second bread. That's why potatoes are very important, I would say, to local food security. Potatoes is not grain. It's more of a local to local. They are sold on local markets to local people in local shops. And our project was initiated in November by partnering 3 companies: Agricur Holland, APH Group, which is a producer of machines, and my farm in Ukraine, in Chernihiv area. Our farm is located just 20 kilometers from the border of Belarus, and we have been occupied for almost 35 days by Russians. But we stayed, we survived, and now we can contribute to a future development of the region, but also of food security in Ukraine. When we started the project, our goal was, of course, we wanted to reverse immediately that negative trend in potato industry. And we speak about potatoes, many people think it's not sexy, but food security and everyday food is important, because if people don't have food, they don't have medicine, we cannot move any further. So we wanted with our project to make sure that we reverse that negative trend. Second, of course, we want to provide food security to regions in other regions in Ukraine, and we wanted to build a foundation for sustainable economic growth. And maybe it sounds a little bit I would say popular now about sustainability and popular and economic growth, but when the war started, our companies, we supplied over 6,000 households with free seed potatoes, so they could plant them for next season so they have something to eat, because nobody knew what the war will bring. Speaking about output, what we expect from our project, after the project is over, it's a 2-year project, we are planning to build top-of-the-art seed storage facility in Chernihiv region. We are producing 3.5 thousand tons of seed potatoes, which will be enough to produce over 50 million kilograms of potatoes, which is more than 1 kilo per person in Ukraine. And that's very simple when you speak about figures. We are planning to train farmers, so we don't only give the fish, but we also teach them how to fish. We plan to train over 3,000 farmers in the field, but also through YouTube and our video blogs. And of course, we will supply potatoes to consumers. As a result, we have signed cooperation with Metro Cash and Carry for Anovus, our main retailers in Ukraine, to supply them seed potatoes over the next season and season after that. As I said, potatoes are local for locals, and we have been involved into promoting farmers' potatoes to street markets, retail, and also this year to internet shops. And we believe that using Western technologies in Ukraine can help us to build the foundation for further economic development. Having this possibility, I would like to thank German government for organizing this conference for us, where we can remind one more time that we have to stand as a shield to the Western Europe against Russian aggression. We are thankful to you for your support, I would say continuous support. And we would like also to thank our partners from the Netherlands, from the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and also RVO, the Agency for Enterprise Development, for supporting our project. Thank you very much.
Maybe one question, Nick. You described that you have a set of partners. So what was the main challenge in cooperation and bringing them together, and what is the main benefit? Maybe you can outline shortly the main bottleneck and the main benefit.
Thank you for the question. The key, of course, the key goals for these partners, I would say, these partners, there were two goals. One, humanitarian, is to help Ukrainian people, of course, but also business goals. This has been part of our partners' long-term strategy to increase their presence in Ukraine on the market. So both Agrico Holland and IPH Group, they have been planning to increase their presence, and using this possibility or financing possibility in Ukraine, it helped them to establish themselves as a market leaders, I would say, for IPH in equipment, field equipment, and for Agrico as a seed supplier, which is Agrico is Netherlands are known for 40% market share worldwide for seed potatoes, and this project has been just another possibility or opportunity to develop their business in Ukraine.
Thank you. So the next stop is, since we have limited time, we just go rather quickly. The next stop is Andreas Flatström. Andreas, welcome to the stage. He is CEO and founder of Beetroot from Sweden. So, and I give the floor to you to present your project in Ukraine with the same three topics I give to Nick. So please.
Thank you. One of the most important tools in building back better is education, right? I'm the founder of Beetroot. We are not actually doing anything with vegetables, but we have been educating tech specialists in Ukraine since the war started in 2014, essentially. 2 weeks ago, I was in a small village in Poltava region, and I talked to the granny, the babusia, and she was talking about her granddaughter who had such a great career. She had an international job, sending money back to the village, everything is good. I asked, what did she do? And babushka said, she took some computer course. And I asked her, well, which was it? So it was Beetroot Academy. So that was like sort of success story for us. And it's one story out of around 13,000 people who we have educated into a tech career in Ukraine for the last 10 years, working for all the major tech companies in Ukraine and also 30 other countries throughout Europe these days. Why is this important? One factor, quite simply, the average salary in Ukraine is maybe around 500 euros, maybe a bit less. The average salary in tech is around 5 times higher. Why? Because you are connected to a global economy and a global workforce. You're competing on a global market, essentially. So if you change, like with a course or an education that gets you a job in this industry, you can change one person's life. Yeah. If you do this 100,000 times, you could probably change a whole country and economy. The IT sector in Ukraine has proven to be one of the most resilient and functional during the full-scale war. Even though it's tough in this industry as well, it's grown as a percentage of GDP from 5 to 7% since full-scale invasion. And it's also important for all the other industries, since it's a skill set you use everywhere, right? So it's key for Ukrainian resilience, for economy, also for innovation in the defense tech sector and essentially working for the Ukrainian victory. And the need for tech skills, despite everything we read in the news about AI taking over the jobs and so on, the long-term big trend is that the needs are increasing and they will be doing so for a long time to come. So in Beetroot Academy, we have educated now around 5% of all the new tech specialists in Ukraine. It's quite a big industry for the last 5 years. And majority of those are women. And majority are not from the big cities. And a lot of them are from vulnerable groups. We started to educate veterans and IDPs already in 2015. Our goal, like big mission for the future here, is we want to educate 100,000 more people in Ukraine in the coming few years with tech skills, with AI skills, tech entrepreneurship skills, and we want to increase the share of women, IDPs, veterans in this economy. So that's very shortly of what we do. We are here like looking for partnerships in the international development community. So if you agree and believe that education and the tech skills is one of the keys to building back better, come talk to me or to my colleague Nastya. She's somewhere here in the black Vyzhovanka. Happy to talk. Thank you very much for the award for organizing this event. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Andreas, I've one short question. How do you describe, what are the 3 success factors of your project in Ukraine? Since we are here also to motivate others to do the steps. So what are the 3 success factors?
Very good question. So I think one of the big success, I moved to Ukraine in 2012. So I think for me, being locally present and building that community on the local level. So before the COVID, we were opening academies in 19 different cities throughout Ukraine. And we always started with, before even opening, we went to the city talking to the local tech companies. Sort of what are your needs? Do they fit with our, and then we sort of picked locations based on where we filled the pool. So we always focus on sort of building this community of companies, of graduates, teachers. And that has actually worked very well over the years, like even with COVID and even with the war starting, like this community of graduates, it's become sort of a support community in itself. So yeah, that would be one. Be local and with a global mission. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So the next step is the company Fairfax Financial Holdings from Canada, represented today by Markia Makiewicz. Welcome to the stage. And I will give the floor to you without further ado. Please.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah, it's good. So Fairfax Financial Holding, essentially, it's not that we have one specific project in Ukraine. We are a financial holding company that owns insurance. Through our subsidiaries, we are engaged in property and casualty insurance. So we own insurance businesses across 50 countries in the world and write around $30 billion in premium. We've been in Ukraine since initially the start of the war, which is 2014. Since 2022 sort of full-scale invasion, we've not only are in Ukraine, we're growing, we continue to invest. We are the biggest insurance company in Ukraine. We have 3 insurance businesses in Ukraine. ARX is the biggest, Universalna, and then Colonnade. So together, those 3, we represent more than 20% of the insurance market in Ukraine. So, our business model, essentially, through the insurance companies, they generate the float, and then we invest that float. So, insurance is one part of our business, and the second part is investments. And on that angle, we own major stakes in the Ukrainian agriculture businesses. So a company like Astarta, which is the biggest sugar producer in Ukraine, where we own 30% of the business, as well as a company called Ovostar, the biggest ag producer, and that's even more substantial position for us. We've been last year increasing those positions, investing more. On the insurance angle, we are the only group that provides war risk insurance with a very limited capabilities. You might have heard, guys, today the news came out that Aon, together with DFC, providing $350 million facility. So that's for ARX is the only company in Ukraine that's qualified to underwrite and use those facilities. So that's us. We're working with other IFIs to increase that. But that's what's, I guess, holding up that investment. War risk insurance, everybody's talking about it. So we've been implementing over the last year and a half projects and coverage in that, and we hope to slowly start increasing once we build that capacity. I think we'll be able to provide on a very meaningful scale the protection for the investors. And then on the agriculture side, as I said, our investee companies are continue to invest. We're building, we have an investment program of $100 million. We're building soy protein plant. Ovostar, same thing, $25 million investment program for this year. So we are there. We're there for long term. That's basically our story, quick and short. So not one project, but kind of multifaceted.
Yeah, just short applause, clap the hand, because when we are here in Germany in rounds with companies, the financing and insurance topic is beside security, mainly or 99% in the end, the bottleneck and the main topics. So it's very good to hear that there are solutions in the market and provided. What do you think? So we are here at a forum where we have decision makers from politics, from international organizations. What would you say could be done more on this level? So we saw that this Business Advisory Council was founded. It is in place to work on recommendations, to assess a bit what went good and went wrong, or where we can be better. So from your perspective, what could be done in this broader framework to support activities like yours and engage more insurance company from the commercial sector?
Yeah, so Nick, I think, first year, lots of uncertainty. Nobody, it's hard to engage the private sector to underwrite and reinsure, it's hard to find the commercial partner. I think what forums like these are helpful is bringing the attention and bringing together the IFIs and each G7 has their own, from Canada we have the EDC, Export Development Canada, where they can come in and provide the support, where our local guys in Ukraine essentially can underwrite. We know the market. We are essentially the market. Right now in Ukraine, we are the only group that provides that. We want to increase our coverage. So, now we have DFC stepping up with Aon. I think slowly, the more you understand, the more data you have, I think we'll be able to engage the commercial players in this sector. But it's been, phenomenal. Like Aon and DFC came through, and I think we're really hoping to bring in one more step over the next couple of weeks.
Okay. Thank you very much for your contribution and the work you're doing in Ukraine. It's, as I said, again, you cannot repeat it often enough. That is really the key aspect. We move on to my colleague right next to me, Arne Mjøs from Norway. He's the founder and CEO of Iterra. And Arne, we are keen to hear what you're doing in Ukraine and about your project. So please, the floor is yours.
1, 2, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yes, Iterra is a tech company. I will start there. We have been there for 16 years. I just want to piggyback a little about what Andreas was saying, because as an IT company, we have been there delivering services before and after the full-scale invasion. And I remember the day after the full-scale invasion, I asked my HR directly, what is the most important thing I can do for Ukraine? And she said, keep the project running That means keep the economy running, because then we can also pay the salaries for the soldiers. And secondly, she said, I trust the Ukrainian army. So if I look back in retrospect, I will say that she was very true with her advice. And that, I think, has been the case for Itera. How do we keep the economy running? So, of course, we are doing a lot of digitalization for the energy sector. We have a brochure here we can talk more about. But what our mission has been to mobilize more of the society. So I have been regularly visiting Ukraine since the invasion, the first time 6 weeks after the invasion. And I always want to look at how do they really adapt to any kind of new situation, and also what is the best support we can give them. So in June 2020, together with the Norwegian Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce, they were requesting bridges, temporary bridges. So then we went back, talked with the Norwegian companies, state-owned companies that have these kind of bridges. So we managed to deliver 10 bridges within 6 months, whatever. So that's one of the mission. It's not about IT, but in any way, try to help out with something. Then we went into, from September 2022, we were focusing on how could the energy sector in Norway help Ukraine with the energy transition. Of course, Norway has a lot of energy from oil and gas. You can leverage from everything from oil and gas to renewables or carbon capture, whatever. We have the full range. So then we were looking at what are the specific needs they have and how could we also help them with the energy efficiency. So some of the project that we went into was actually utilizing smart metering for boiler load management system. So from my point of view, I'm still concerned about the perception that is a lot of people would like to help Ukraine, and we are talking about incentives, we are talking about maybe a lot of are waiting for the war to end before they will invest. But if I look at my industry, we don't need to have any kind of incentives because a digital service or IT service can be delivered remotely. We all learn from the COVID, right? So from my point of view, I think it's no excuse for any business saying, I can't help Ukraine. Because every business in any country around the world need IT services. And I will say that in Ukraine, you have AAA quality of the service. And from Itera perspective, we have built what we call a digital factory where IT specialists live and work from Ukraine. It's no brain drain, right? At all. So from my point of view, I think it's extremely important that what we also have heard from this conference is actually we need to keep the economy running behind the front line. Otherwise, the society will fall apart. And then we know the consequences if Putin wins the war. So I think it's no excuse for not doing anything. IT services is fully fledged services we can deliver from Ukraine, and Andreas was also training these people. And I also would like to add that the IT services represent the second largest export income. You represent the first one, which is the agriculture. And we are at the second one, and every business around the world can do that. So for me, after being here, it's extremely important to really look at how could we apply IT services because it have a big impact on the economy for the country. So that has been, I guess, the key project for Itera, looking at how do we mobilize the society.
Thank you very much, Arne. Some impressive stories beside your core activities, and it shows that business is possible, profitable business is possible, and that especially, I guess, the IT industry is able to adapt rather quickly. Maybe you can describe really in a minute how you did it, because I know it from customers asking, okay, can I source IT services in Ukraine, with all this stuff going on. How do you convince your customers?
I think involve the people. I think there is some kind of elephant in the room. That's the security people and the legal people. So instead of having them being some kind of in the background, involve them into discussion. Then you discuss the specific issues with the security. I will argue that the security, cyber security, is even higher in Ukraine than in many other countries. But there are a lot of people that have a lot of meaning. They believe because they see the media, they believe this country is really disrupted in any kind of business. So involve the people, think about how you can support Ukraine, because it's a matter of our security, our values. So it's I don't accept any kind of excuses. Otherwise, we will have this war is on the doorstep for Europe. So if you don't do anything, what is the consequences of that? So involve the people, I will say. Look at how we solve the issues and then move on.
Thank you very much. That's nothing to add. So last but not least, number 10, but not number 10 in a content order, just number 10. We have Tatsuhiko Nitaka. He is Executive Officer and President and CEO for Europe at Sojitz Corporation. So we trained a bit before.
Okay.
And Tatsuhiko, I would like to give the floor to you. Please.
Thank you very much for the introductions. My name is Tatsu Nitaka from Sojitz Corporation of Europe. Our company, Sojitz Corporation, is one of the Japanese trading company. We are covering many kind of business all over the world. In terms of Ukraine, our automotive divisions have been doing a business in Ukraine around 20 years. We have a local office in Kiev and hiring local people. Main business is we are car dealer business, doing dealer business, and also part supply business, and also assembling parts. We export knockdown parts for trucks from Japan to Ukraine. Teaming up with a local partner, we assemble into trucks. So based on the existing business structure for the recovery of Ukraine, we install the special cranes for demining on our trucks. And we deliver to the Ukraine government for the recovery works. So that delivery ceremony happened last year, April and September, inviting our minister from Japan and also Japanese embassy people. Speaking about build back better philosophy. So Japan has a history of post-war recovery from devastations. And also we have various big earthquake in Japan. So the latest one is just occurred January 1st this year in Noto Peninsula area. So every recovery from this, we learned a lot about some expertise like collecting and managing debris. And also we are providing very special equipment to the site of the earthquake. So those kind of expertise we like to utilize for the Ukraine as well. So we like to expand our support for providing a wide range of special vehicle, including bus. That's our company's intentions. And I believe the most important is the people in Ukraine and how soon getting back the normal and the safe and the stable lives. So that's very important. To make this happen, our company is really aim to continue our support to support the Ukraine people, teaming up with the Japanese government and other countries and other international organizations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I have one. So we have 2 minutes left, or 1.5. Maybe one short reflection I would like to ask you for is, and how did you secure your supply chain? So we saw that in spring 22, that in Germany, some plants really had to stop production. So how do you secure it? Maybe a minute we have. Maybe you can reflect on this.
So in terms of our business, we are exporting the necessary parts from mainly Japan. So that's why our supply chain for automotive business is not affected yet. So.
Good news. So I guess we are on time. I look to our confrères. Thank you very much. And maybe finish with one more. Yesterday evening, I posted a reflection on LinkedIn here on the URC. And a contact of mine asked you, Stefan, it's nice what you are posting, but is it, you have a country at war, is it the right time to do so? And I recommended her the live stream for today, to follow, and I guess hopefully she's convinced right now that it is the right time to be in Ukraine to have projects. So thank you very much for your contribution, what you're doing in Ukraine, and for your time to present the projects today. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefan and guests. I found that hugely uplifting. If you want to find out more about what they've been talking about, I encourage you to use the QR code on the screen to the right of the stage. In 10 minutes' time, we're going to have a short presentation on the importance of school nutrition in Ukraine, not just for the kids, but for the country's economy. So join us then. Thank you.